Yeah, what are we doing?
Exactly. All right. Hey, I want to welcome you. Then we're going to do something. And then we're going to go backward.
1980s now.
This is so
Welcome. The special willness is that I did it at the last minute. I was like, oh, I know what I'll do. Let's see if I can drag Cat and John into it.
This is the willest thing ever.
Yeah. I could probably get more will. Like I could probably fuck it up entirely and get really mad and then rage quit. But I'm working on that.
Yes.
Also,
funny voice. Worked that.
Yeah.
By the way, hey, welcome to, speaking of all those things, you know that you must be listening to 1980s Now, a weekly examination of the importance of 1980s pop culture and its influence today. Hey, my name's Will, and joining me, as always, you heard their voices already, Kat and John. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hey there. I'm also not Will. Only Will is Will.
All right, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the introduction to this after we do this other thing, and then I'm going to play them in a different order. And I'm telling the audience that. So now there'll be some kind of sound effect of a taper winding around. Wow, okay, this is going to be a surprise when this is played in the order in which it is for the audience. Because on today's episode, we're going to be speaking with the frontman, the founding member of the Men Without Hats, Ivan Doroschuk.
Wow.
Yeah. Thinking about, look, they had two hit songs, starting with in 1982. It became a hit in 1983, but we're talking about, of course, about the Safety Dance.
Yes.
Which was number 3 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100. It was there for 4 weeks, and I don't think you could go any place without hearing it.
No, you couldn't, which is why I'm mortified that.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Remember, things are played out of order. So
okay.
See, it all makes sense now why he had to go out of order for us, because he couldn't give away who his guest was going to be, lest we would have Safety Dance in our brains already. And we'd have picked Safety Dance the first four guesses because we wouldn't have had anything else in our head.
Exactly.
And then we couldn't get it when it came up. Yep. Makes sense.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious to talk to Ivan about the beginning of the group, certainly, and how ultimately they came upon this sound that became iconic. There's so many times that this song is featured in an 80s, or rather in a TV show or film, that wants to just immediately evoke a place and a time in the 1980s. It's been used in The Simpsons, Family Guy, Futurama, which we were talking about before the show started. It was used in one of those episodes, Glee.
Right. He said, this dance is not as safe as everybody said it was.
Yeah.
To the Futurama reference that you were talking about, yeah.
Yeah, and if you don't know, I'm sure I talked to Ivan about this, if you haven't heard him tell this story, but the story was inspired by the fact that he and his friends would get routinely kicked out of dance clubs when a song, we're talking about the late 70s here, because the band was started in 1978. But they'd be at a club and some disco-ish or dance-ish version, a song would come on, like Blondie or Rock Lobster by the B-52s. And he and his friends would do what he called pogo dancing. He was raised in Montreal. He's a guy from Canada, which we would call in the States here slam dancing. And the bouncers would immediately see this activity and think, these guys are fighting. We got to get them the hell out of here. And they would slam dance their asses right out of the club.
Oh, man.
So that's the unsafety dance. And so he then had to have the flip side of the coin. We need a safety dance.
Well, yeah, except I guess his point would be that the dance is safe, although it looks, violent. And ultimately, safety dance being about needing a place where you could, be yourself and dance.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
I feel like when this song came out and beyond it, because it was so ubiquitous, folks knew the song, that I used that line, if your friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, then they're no friends of mine. Like a rule, just a solid black or white binary. Either if they don't dance, you're just, I don't want to hang out with them, or I do. Like this was like an axiom. Axiom, is that the word? For me.
Yes. Oh.
I've softened on it now, though.
Okay, so you're allowing the non-dancers into your circle.
Yes. In the later 1980s, they had a song, Pop Goes the World, in 1987 that, Kat, I don't know if this reached you or not where you were in New Jersey, but Z100 out of New York City, I want to say played it every morning. I remember listening to it on the way to school, and I loved it. It's a different song. It's a little more contemplative, I guess, the sort of theme of it. It's, seems to be talking about, ecology. Is that the right word? Wow. I don't know words. The environment, the word concern for the earth. But folks, I think folks even being a fan of the safety dance from early in the decade may not realize that that's also Ivan and his group.
Love that song too. Yeah. No,
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I didn't hear it every morning on my radio station, but I remember quite well. Yeah.
Well, what's really
every
cool
morning.
is, look, they're back at it. For the past 10 years, they've been touring the world. And I'll talk to Ivan about this, but it seems like the band is more active now than they were in the 1980s, and they did tour back then. But among the many things that they're doing to keep the 80s alive, in addition to touring with these other noteworthy bands, is Ivan, unlike any other, I think, icon from the 1980s we've ever spoken with, is continuing, not even continuing, has memorialized his love of that decade that we love in song. Recently, he released a song, I Love the 80s, which features some musical nods to both Safety Dance and Pop Goes the World. And also in the lyrics, there's just straight up references to things out of the 1980s. And if you haven't heard it, you should check it out. I almost don't want to tell you what they are because it's kind of fun to just hear them as they come.
It is. Yeah. No spoilers.
I love that.
It's worth experiencing. Yeah. Unfiltered, unspoiled.
And someone sent it to me. I think Ivan had posted something about there's some musical Easter eggs in there too that folks can find. And I'll have to ask him about it if I remember. But I think what it is at the very end of the song, as it's starting to fade, he's still making some references, and there's two that I kind of hear in there.
Okay,
that you could, for fun, check it out and give it.
When my son was in high school, he was in a chorale group, like a performing, singing, dancing group, and the parents were invited to a rehearsal one time, and the director said, "And now they're going to do Safety Dance by Men at Work." And I was what? No, wrong men.
Oh, no. That's got to happen to them all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. When you said chorale group, I thought you meant like a rodeo.
Corral them little doggies.
And now, time for the safety dance.
Yeah.
Get along, little doggy.
It's not safe at all, unless you're the clown. No, the clown is the least safe.
No, that's the worst.
He keeps you safe. Yeah.
He does, right.
And he does a little
You're only
dance.
safe in that barrel.
Yeah, he dance right into the barrel. Now, hey, before we bring Ivan out, it just occurs to me, too, that Safety Dance and Men Without Hats, Ivan, has received an honor probably better than a Grammy Award, John. I'm thinking about that in 1984, Weird Al parodied the song.
Yep.
With the Brady Bunch.
That's right.
One of his lesser known tracks, but just as hilarious as the others, and takes advantage, of course, of the popularity, of how well known the song was at the time. Mm-hmm. Perhaps more well known to Kat and John. I don't know. We'll find out because we're about to play a game in reverse order. We've already played it.
I can't imagine what it will be.
So look, I've been thinking about this.
Wait, is this now, or are we about to get to now next?
Is this now, or what is it? Huh?
No, that was then. This is now.
Right.
Will loves time travel so much. He's just integrating it right into the show.
John's making a Spaceballs reference. I love when he turn around and the camera, it's just a loop of all those images in the monitor. Hey, so look, because of the thing that the folks have heard already, it got me thinking about how there's songs in the 1980s that can be identified with just a couple of notes, and I'm going to say 4 notes in particular, which makes me think that once again it's time to play.
You gotta be kidding.
Yes.
I realize what John's response is usually when I bring out a game. You've got to be fucking kidding me. Hey, so this is what I did. I'm going to play you 4 notes because ultimately I want to lead up to a song that has 4 notes that I think you're going to definitely know this song, but maybe not. So I took a bunch of other iconic songs from the 1980s and broke them down to just 4 notes on a keyboard. It's very crude, and it's intentionally so, to see that if you can identify these songs just based on these 4, again, not this clip from the song, but just the 4 notes. The first, not the first 4 notes, but the first 4, I'd say, identifiable notes, or the hook, the melody of the thing. Okay. So we're talking about all synth songs, and here we go. So in no particular order, we could just go back and forth just to make it like we always do. I'll flip a thing. Kat, what do you got? Heads or tails, Kat?
Heads.
All right, you go first. All right, here is your first crudely fashioned 4 notes for an iconic song from the 1980s. No clues and no context. Let's just see what you got here.
Oh boy. Oh, it's Axel F.
Yes, that's right.
Damn it, the pressure's on. Now I have to get one right or I look like a dummy.
All right, so yeah, 4 notes there. The first 4 notes there. Axel F. All right, John, you're up here. Here are your first, no particular order of difficulty here.
Well, I thought you put the notes were in no particular order. That's tougher.
That's what I thought he meant too. I hope you get a really crude one, John.
Crude?
Thanks, Kat.
Because I kept saying it. Now you make it sound like it's going to be dirty.
And that's what I was thinking.
Oh, okay.
Hey, booty. No.
One of those.
That was 4 notes. That was the first 4 notes.
And yes.
See? I'm trying to play along.
Yeah. All right, John, here's your one that is not your non-2 Live Crew one.
Okay.
Here's your clip here. First 4 notes. Oh, that was 6 notes. Damn it.
Oh, a lot of notes.
Ooh.
I'll play it for you again because I think you're
Okay. That's no XLF.
Oh.
It's I know I'm not supposed to answer, and I'm not going to, but it's ringing
And it sounds like this
bell.
also, like, I noticed with Axel F, you kind of use the correct instrumentation and timbre of, is that also true here, or is that just coincidental?
Yeah, no, you're right. It was coincidental because I guess built into the crudeness, as Kat just continues to highlight. I used the same, I picked a keyboard thing off of GarageBand and just used the same thing for all of them.
Yeah, it's not leaping out at me, I'm afraid.
I think I got
Kat,
it.
do you have an idea? You want to steal?
I do.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I didn't want to steal. I wanted to be nice and just sort of
Steal
wait
it.
patiently.
Yeah, whatever.
Is it Sweet Dreams Are Made of This?
That's right.
Aha.
You hear it?
Okay.
And the real thing is playing now for everybody to hear. Okay, very good.
I can hear
I
it.
could sing it. Do you want me to sing it?
No.
Nope.
We took an instant poll. We have the technology. All right, here, Kat, here is your clue here. 4 notes from an iconic 80s song that uses a synthesizer.
In no particular order.
No particular order or difficulty, but they're all crude and all use the same sound. This is, I think, hard.
Oh, do it again. I wear my sunglasses at night.
That's right. Holy
That's-
cow, you're good at this, Kat.
It wasn't in my head yet, but I could feel that direction. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, that was good, Kat. All right, very good, very good.
Look, I couldn't do it with 6 notes. You did it in 4. Name that tune.
You know what's funny about those 2 songs?
Yeah.
Is I'm aware that when those 2 songs start, Sweet Dreams Are Made of This and Sunglasses at Night, when they start, there is sometimes confusion about which song is happening. And so when I got Sweet Dreams Are Made of This, I'm like, oh, darn, what's that other song?
So you were ready. You had it loaded.
I had it locked and loaded.
Oh.
I actually couldn't
interesting.
think of it at the moment. But
This feels like you're playing right into Will's hand. Like you're setting up a premise that he's trying to prove with this game. It's amazing. Collusion. Okay. 3-0.
I had no clue.
I guess it's more an experiment, too, because I guess I was going to argue this one song, and I hope to God that you can hear this. I recognize this one song with these 4 notes.
Okay.
But anyway, here's the next one. We'll get to
Kat
that
can.
in a moment.
I won't.
Kat,
Kat.
I mean, John, here's your next 4 notes from an iconic 80s song that uses a synth. Those are 4 notes.
It's the Take On Me. Yes! I had to get to that part of the song to say the words.
I love that. That's awesome.
I get that.
It'd be great if you had to do the whole
thing.
thing. Talking away.
All right.
Hang on, I'll get
I produced half the video. Still haven't heard the words yet. Here we go.
John turns into a cartoon while he's figuring it out.
And then we say, aha, I have it.
Aha.
Oh, we don't, because we don't. That's crude. That's cruder than the thing. All right. Kat, here
Did I get a ding or did I just get that bump there?
No, you got a correct
Okay.
score.
All right.
We were cheering so loudly for you, you couldn't hear it.
I was erroring out
thank
Kat's pun or whatever.
Oh, I see. Okay.
All right, Kat, here you go. Here's another one for you. 4 notes from an iconic 1980s tune that uses a synthesizer.
Oh,
I think I know this.
Ooh.
I think I know this.
Here we go again. I'll do the bass when you just keep doing. I'll do the bass.
Don't help her.
I just can't get enough.
That's
I
it.
just can't get enough.
You're both right.
I could have got that one. Yay.
You could have. You just needed
Yes.
to. Yeah.
Yes. I had to sing the whole way through first.
Yeah. You guys are doing a great job singing. All right, John, here's your song. First 4 notes of a song. Iconic song from the 1980s that uses a synthesizer. Here you go.
One more time. It's not Rocket, is it?
That's right.
Yes! You got it.
Nicely done, John.
Let's go, Herbie.
I love it. You were doubting yourself. Well, it can't
I
be
was.
this.
I'm expecting to get it wrong. So I was as surprised as anyone listening.
Oh, John.
All right, I've got one left here. I guess it goes to you, Kat. Certainly, John can help if you need help here. Here are your 4 notes. Now, here's the interesting thing about these 4 notes. I think, have we had this yet? We did have this one other time in one of the other songs where the first 4 notes are really just 2 notes at octaves, using octaves.
Oh.
We had this with Sweet Dreams. So this is similar interval. And again, I use the same sound for all. So any coincidence or any similarity to the actual song is a coincidence. But here you go. Here is your 4 notes from a iconic 80s songs that uses a synthesizer.
Do it again?
Maybe it's the sounds that's doing it. John, do you have an idea?
It tickled something, but it hasn't sparked for me yet.
One more time. Just give me one more
Easy. Easy.
Oh.
John, I need you to stand up, John.
Yeah, there's something happening in my brain, but it's not producing the name of the song.
Explains the burning smell, though, I'm getting here. I don't know how I'm going to go with this now.
I feel like it's a sequence. It's more sequences of 2 notes. It's like ding, 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 ding.
It
ding,
is,
ding,
right?
Ding, ding, ding. There's
There's
more 2-note sequences coming after that.
It's basically this.
Like it repeats?
Yeah. At least the first 6 notes. The cadence is a little bit different, but. Well, damn.
I feel like I'm going to kick myself.
Damn it. I'm going to have to say that's wrong. And I feel like I have to apologize to the audience and our guest.
Oh, okay. It was the cadence.
Are you kidding me?
Pull out this, there's no 16th notes in it. You should give us these quarter notes. The dong dong ding ding.
It's safety dance.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
See, it's not. It's don't ding da don't da don't. Yeah,
The
it's
second
like
one.
the pickup
the
notes
second
coming off the
grouping is
back
different.
end.
Yeah. The second grouping
Yeah.
Kind of loose and sloppy. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so mortified.
I've never heard just the first 4 notes and then stop before.
Yeah. All right. So, hey, back to the beginning. All right. So that game didn't end the way I had hoped it was. My point was, I was hoping to prove how.
But I would know it right away.
Now, look, Ivan, I blame myself because I think if I had used the same sound as the keyboard that he used, that do would probably have leapt out to you. I do admit, because they were all kind of the same keyboard sound, it kind of becomes more difficult to hear.
You want to fake it? You want to do a pass where we figured it out?
Yeah, we'll just do that right now. Hey, that's great. Yes, exactly right. I'll edit this later. Great job, guys. You both said it at the same time.
Oh, shit, it's the safety dance.
Yes, very good.
Yes.
I'm going to have to do a lot of editing to do now. Yeah,
I'll do that part for you too.
So this explains why you were praying. You were like, oh man.
Oh my God.
Well, I will say this, and I think you guys can agree. The fact that my game didn't end the way I had hoped does not diminish certainly the how popular. Nobody can argue with this. How popular, how well known the safety dance and Men Without Hats are. Certainly throughout the 80s and today.
it doesn't diminish it at all because the moment you said, oh, our special guest, and then I remembered and I'm like, oh my gosh, now I have
Now, if you had said, it was a safety dance, and we go, the safety what now?
Yeah.
Like, that would be a little diminishing. As soon as you started to talk, obviously. Yeah.
Why didn't I get it?
Seared into my ears. Yeah.
I am thrilled that he's taking the time to talk with us. So in a moment, we'll be right back with Ivan Doroschuk.
I love the 80s. I love the 80s. I remember so much fun back in 1981.
You know, it could have been Ivan Doroschuk or something.
Ivan. Good Russian name.
And then I could have said, instead of Man Without Hats, I'd say, no toques allowed or something.
That's how it started.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Some sort of club that you couldn't wear headwear or knit caps?
It was actually due to the harsh weathers in Montreal where we grew up. We never wore head covering, and that was our thing was real men don't wear hats in the winter.
Now, as an older gentleman than you were in the 1980s, how do you feel about that now? Do you find your head getting cold and you want to wear a hat? I love a good hat myself.
Oh, I'm still, I live in a warmer climate now. I moved out west about 20 years ago. So the weather on Vancouver Island where I live is nothing compared to Montreal, let me tell you.
See, that just shows how much of a dumb American I am. I just imagine all of Canada as a frozen wasteland.
Now, Vancouver Island where I live is kind of the Florida of Canada. It's the retirement community. It's where everybody heads in their
I see.
In their 50s and 60s and 70s.
Oh, that sounds beautiful. Hey, it's a real pleasure to chat with you. Not only have I been a fan of yours since the 1980s, but it's rare that I guess I've spoken to someone. I don't think I've ever spoken to someone who came up in the 1980s, found their success or big success in the 1980s, and has memorialized it in song recently. A lot of folks I speak with, I suggest the notion that the 1980s was a decade that could challenge the medieval Renaissance in terms of a time period where we had so much change and development that influenced the world after that. And I'm usually scoffed at, but I think your song suggests maybe you agree. What do you think about that?
I do agree. I think that the 80s were a breath of fresh air, compared to the end of the 70s where, in every domain, all across the board, there was new technology. There was, video was starting, computers were starting to come into our lives. It was an artistic explosion, and it was a DIY explosion too. You didn't have to be a virtuoso to attempt anything. All you needed was a good idea and energy and a good hairdo, a good wardrobe, and you were on your way. And I think that was it was a welcome kind of spirit and feeling. Like I say, after the sort of dinosaur rock of the 70s and dying days of disco had kind of run its course. And I grew up in the 70s. Like I was a teenager. I was a fan of music, and I've always said that for me, 80s music was a blend of the music that I was listening to in the 70s. It was a combination of progressive rock music that I was listening to, bands like Genesis and Pink Floyd and King Crimson and Rush, and a mixture of that and disco. I was also front and center in the disco movement. So for me, 80s new wave was synthesizer music you could dance to. It's a combination of prog rock and disco. That's what I brought to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, thinking about, obviously, you mentioned the DIY. Did you have a band before you did, before you were Men Without Hats, as we understand it, the synth pop, a little more synth pop in the early 1980s? Did you have a band before that, rock band out of a garage or something like that? Yeah,
we had a couple. I was in a band called Heaven 17, actually, before the British Heaven 17. Mm-hmm. It was a name that we got from Clockwork Orange, so it was nothing we invented. But I was in that, and I was in a band called Wave 21, which was kind of a sort of experimental kind of rock band too. played with my brothers in cover bands and things like that. Yeah, it was. But Men Without Hats was the first sort of serious attempt at going for it.
And it's look, Men Without Hats. In particular, your hit song "Safety Dance" hits early in the 1980s. After that, we'll have a number of bands, synth bands that incorporate synth and to great success. But your group is pioneered that so early in the 1980s that I'm wondering who your influences could have been in the 70s or even the early 80s by then that you would have known. I mean, there were so few. I know there's few that come to mind to me that maybe would have reached our shores in such a way that you would have been familiar with them.
I was a big fan of German, what they call krautrock music, and also German electronic music, bands like Tangerine Dream and Kraftwerk especially, and more experimental bands like Can and Ashford Temple, but a lot of German electronic music is what influenced me. And I was a piano player. My mother was a music teacher at McGill University in Montreal, and so I grew up taking piano lessons. So I was well prepared when the time came to move into the synth world.
Yeah, and how do you thinking about DIY? I've recently looked up some. I too was a keyboardist and loves synths, and that's how I did my composing when I write music. But in the early 1980s and certainly in the 1970s, synthesizers were still cost prohibitive for most musicians. What did you get your hands on back then, and how?
Well, when they started becoming sort of more affordable, I started with Korg MS-10s, MS-20s, moved up to a Yamaha CS-50, which is kind of the main keyboard that we used for Safety Dance. And then after that, moved up to Prophet 5. That was kind of the ultimate keyboard back then, the first analog polyphonic synth, one of the first polyphonic synthesizers. And but I was listening to bands that influenced me, amongst the 80s bands were bands like the Human League, things like that. And that was, I was pretty lucky because when I put the band back together about 15 years ago, when we decided to put Men Without Hats back on the road, one of the first tours I got, well, actually the first tour I got was touring North America with Human League and the B-52s. So that was kind of sort of a dream come true. That was great.
So those are folks you had been fans of, but hadn't worked with or otherwise known prior to that.
That's it. Wow. Yeah. I sort of.
Wow. That's so. It's got to be amazing. Then that many years later, still fulfilling dreams.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's that's one of the great things about this whole sort of revival of 80s music is there's a lot of bands that are still out there, and we tour with bands like, Flock of Seagulls and Wang Chung and just, a lot of different 80s bands. But back in the 80s, I would liken, being in a young band, kind of like being on a sports team, or being on a hockey team or something like that, or a baseball team. You travel around the country and you're competing against other bands. You're competing for venues and press and chart positions and fans, and so there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of pressure on you when you're a young band starting off. But now there's, the work's been done, and we're just out there to have fun and to touch base with our fans and give them the music that they enjoyed and that they want to hear. Right. And it's a big, sort of a big happy 80s family traveling around the world. There's no competition anymore. It's like just a collaboration. It's just having fun. It's big camaraderie amongst 80s bands. Now everybody's just happy that, and we're blessed that people are still listening to our music. We've been able to embed ourselves. A couple of our songs have embedded themselves in popular culture, and we've been able to cross generations. Shows like The Simpsons and shows like Glee really brought our music to a lot of new listeners, a whole new generation. And so when we play live now, we see our original fans, but we also see their kids and sometimes even their grandkids come out and see us. So it's great. But the cross-generational thing is made easier also because I hear a lot of 80s influence in modern pop music today and contemporary pop. I hear the big 80s drum sound. I hear a lot of synthesizers, a lot of robot voices.
Right.
So the next generation, their ears are kind of tuned to the 80s sound. So it's good. Like I say, we're blessed.
I drive my kids crazy because, you know, they'll put on a popular song. Like my daughter will be listening to Chapel Roan. Like, okay, this sounds like a Kate Bush song. Hang on. Let me get the Kate Bush song. You got to listen to this. Everything is, you know, I think it's wonderful that it's continued. And I wonder if these younger artists are being influenced by groups like yourself, or there's something about that sound, about synths that is so just, I don't know, I have a visceral response to the use of synths that just, I don't know, it's like in my DNA, or that almost how percussion is, you know, where it's, I don't know, triggers something chemical that I connect with. I wonder if it's just just that there's something to it.
Yeah, no, the 80s definitely had a really kind of, it was a fresher sound, you know, than what had been going on in pop music. And I think it boils down to just the songs themselves. There's a lot of great melodies, a lot of great sing-alongs. It's just a lot of nice songs. You know, I've said this before, I'm a big fan of rap music, but I don't know how many Eminem songs we're going to be singing around the campfire in 20 years. You know, but the 80s had a lot of, you know, a lot of great melodies, a lot of great songs. And it brings back a lot of great memories for people. It's, you know, there's a whole generation of people that, you know, grew up in the 80s and have kids now, and they're playing those songs to their kids and sort of passing it along to them. And like a lot of this generation grew up listening to their parents' music. You know, it was the 80s were a decade that was focused on the youth too, with, you know, in music and video and film. There was, you know, the Breakfast Club, the Ferris Bueller. There was a whole sort of movement that really, really focused on the sort of teenagers and youth, you know, sort of the youth movement, and more than the 60s and even more than the 50s. Even it was really, really focused on kids. So it's been passed along by their parents to the next generation.
I wonder if I often wonder. You know, thinking about Safety Dance and some of your other tunes, of course, Pop Goes the World comes to mind as well later in the 80s, that there often seems to me that there's a contrast. There was a contrast in the 80s between the pop culture, especially music, and how, like you're saying, it brought such joy and such lightness and fun and, you know, danceability that was in contrast to some of the things going on in the world, you know, as far as economy and political, that it's interesting. It was almost this escapism. And I wonder if it's that idea that it was focused on youth, where youth were less worried about those things, were involved in those things, or less maybe aware that they, you know, weren't writing songs that were bringing us down.
Yeah, well, it's funny because it was the Reagan Thatcher years. You know, that's what gave the birth of the punk movement. Was kind of there was a sort of an opposition to the status quo, but you know, bands were, you know, punk bands and new wave bands were kind of shared the same philosophy. We were that bin in the back of the record store, the punk new wave bin, where it was kind of all lumped together, and we were lumped together in clubs too. There was usually not too many clubs in every city. There was one or two clubs that catered to punk new wave. And so bands were, you know, that sounded a lot different but had the same philosophy, were connecting. And in our case, we've always tried to pass off a positive message, but in a fun way, not being too heavy handed about it. And I think that's what's sort of helped the, you know, songs like Safety Dance and Pop Goes the World sort of cross the generations, is that Safety Dance, for example, was a song about marching to your own beat, not following the crowd if you didn't want to. And I think in today's sort of climate of social media, where there's a lot of peer pressure to conform, kids still need to hear that message that they can dance if they want to. They can leave their friends behind if they, you know, if they just don't have to follow the crowd. And even with Pop Goes the World, we did that. The message there back in the 80s was, if we don't start treating Mother Earth with a bit more respect, she's going to blow up. Well, these are concerns that are still, on people's minds today. So we were fortunate enough to, touch on larger subjects that people are still thinking about today. But that was it. And, that was the thing. There was always there was a joy to the music, but the messages were in a lot of cases were quite serious. It wasn't the sort of bubblegum of the 60s or, the 70s. There were heavier themes being approached, and there was, but it was all done in a sort of, happy, sort of neon colored, big hair type of,
So punk rock to get folks to sing a message. It's like subversive. Get them to sing an important message by giving them a tune that's really catchy. It's got a great hook.
Yeah, well, that's why, when we started off Men Without Hats, it started off as a punk rock band. It started off all guitars. There were no synths. It was strictly guitars, bass, and drums. And I realized at one point, I would, if I wanted to get my message across to a wider audience, I had to go a bit more sort of commercial, as they say. Yeah. Since I was a keyboard player, I had all the tools that I needed. I was lucky enough that my mother was a music teacher, like I said. My dad was an amateur musician who played with his father and playing in barn dances in rural Manitoba. And so they were quite, but not quite, they were very supportive of what I did. I had to practice every day. I had to practice an hour, piano every day. But at one point, my parents said, you don't have to, we don't care if you practice scales or the pieces that you're supposed to learn. We just want you to spend an hour at the piano. And that's where I started to compose. And that's where I started to, figure out Beatles songs and start composing my own music too. So I was lucky that my parents were, I can still see their faces poking in the back door of the first shows that we did, in the punk clubs in Montreal. And so they were always there behind us. They were always really, really happy for our success. And they stood behind us all the way.
That's amazing. Thinking about composing, talking about the safety dance. Oh, I just occurred. I've heard you tell this story before about the inspiration for safety dance, but it got me thinking just now. If you're touring with the B-52s and they play Rock Lobster, are you pogo dancing all of a sudden?
That was a great tour. I mean, that was those I bring up these songs, but those were the first songs that got me seriously thinking about getting into this. It was Rock Lobster. It was Blondie's Heart of Glass, I think was the first song that I heard. That, wow, what a cool song. And the fact that it was produced by Robert Fripp, who I was already a fan of, just sort of tied it all in together. And it was exciting times. There was, everything was new, and it was ours too. It wasn't our, for me, I was in the 70s, some of the music was, it was the older brothers or sisters music,
right,
that we were listening to, sort of holdovers from the 60s. So this was completely ours. We wrote the book on this one. It belonged to us and nobody else. So that was the cool things about it too.
So for folks who don't know, Safety Dance was inspired by getting kicked out of a club or clubs for.
It was. Yeah. When the like I say, the dying days of disco and end of the 70s, and the DJs were starting to play new wave music, and they were starting to play Satisfaction by Devo and Blondie's Heart of Glass, like I said, Stir. We'd get up and start pogo dancing. Nobody had ever seen it before. Yeah. They thought we were fighting, and bouncers thought we were fighting or trying to cause trouble, and we'd get kicked out. And God happened quite a few times. So I went home and did something about it.
Do the lyrics come first, or does that iconic octave come first?
Well, the octave actually came quite later in the game. We were already in studio recording the follow-up album to Safety Dance. We had released the single in Canada. We didn't even have an American deal. It had been signed to a small British label. They had released the Safety Dance. It had done fairly well, well enough that we were in studio recording a follow-up album. We were stoked. I mean, we thought we had totally made it. We were already rock stars in our own minds. And halfway through recording the second album, the label phoned us and said, listen, you guys have to make a 12-inch remix for Safety Dance. That's the thing now. Everybody's doing it. That's what you got to do. So we took a break and we remixed Safety Dance, put in the octave beeps, sent it off, and went back to recording. And it hit number 1 on the Billboard dance charts. So that kind of changed our lives. We were yanked out of studio and put in a tour bus and sent off to promote it for the next couple of years. But that and the 12-inch and MTV, the video, really sort of, that contributed quite heavily into the success of the song. MTV was also at its beginnings, and they didn't have too many videos back then. There was only a dozen videos on their roster, and we got massive rotation for that song video, and so it turned me from a sort of an unknown Canadian musician into, I was having problems walking down the street without people coming up to me. And
right. Yeah. Yeah. So, because I imagine you're walking around with the same look you had in the video, I guess, right?
Exactly. Yeah. With a little dwarf beside.
Right. How did you, for the longest time, I imagine most folks like me thought you were an English band, considering you were new wave and you were shot at, it looks like, in the countryside of England.
It was. They either thought we were English or Australian, because they confused us with Men at Work too. So that was
right.
Having two bands with the word men in it, kind of, it was hard on people. But and the video, another thing about the video is, like, now you can sort of, you watch 80s videos now and you can kind of have a chuckle at the hairdos and the clothes and the pointy shoes. And that's what people were expecting for the Safety Dance. They thought I was going to be the sort of new wave John Travolta, showing them how to safety dance. And people were, thrown for a loop when they saw this medieval Pied Piper kind of theme on their TV sets. But that's, it served us well. I mean, it helped us. You can watch it today. It's like watching a Western. You can't tell when it was filmed. It sort of, it doesn't look like your typical 80s video, and it really stands out. And it's still relevant today. You can still watch it and sort of appreciate it without sort of feeling too old.
Yeah. So you've been back at it for a while now. And certainly, look, you're like we're talking about here, with certainly Safety Dance was your big hit early in the 1980s. It hit number 3 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100. The song and the album it's on both were certified gold. Now, this many years later, you're inspired to write this song, I Love the 80s, which we love because of its musical homages. First of all, because of the message, because we love the 80s as well. But the musical homages and the references. What inspired you to do that now, all this time later?
We wanted to pay tribute to like I say, the decade that made me. It's a decade that, like I said too, it brings a lot of great memories back to people. It's still, there's the 80s nights in the club is taken over from the disco nights in the clubs. It's trending upwards. We just wanted to pay tribute to it. We wanted to, the hardest part about the song, I've said this too, is narrowing it down to 3 minutes and 30 seconds. It could have been 3 hours long with all the references. We had a great time making it, just picking out all the references to the 80s and things like that. And it was fun times.
Are you on Google? Like, what is that process? Are you on Google trying to refresh your, I think I'd have to do that exercise. Like, what were my favorite movies? What were my favorite moments, songs?
Yeah, no, there was a bit of everything. It was just, but it was the big, the big things are there, the Walkman and the boombox, Live Aid. I mean, they're still present in a lot of people's minds. So we've been getting a great reaction from it. I mean, I'm blown away about how even emotional people are getting about it. Just sort of, getting really almost teary eyed when they talk about it.
Yeah. I get that.
Tell us that they like it.
When I was, when Pop Goes the World was on the radio, I lived out in the East Coast. So my radio station was Z100 out of New York. They played Pop Goes the World, I want to say every morning. So I'd wake up they'd be playing that song. And so in I Love the 80s, when it hits that bridge and you do that melody, goosebumps every time. Oh my goodness.
It was obviously really a lot of fun to write and record, and the video too was a ton of fun. I mean, I hadn't made a video for like 40 years, and so to get back into the sort of just the whole thing about making videos was fun too. And it was great. It was just a lot of fun. It's a fun song, and it's sort of, it ties everything back together. It's kind of, not the final chapter, but it's, it sort of ties it all up nicely for us.
So for folks who don't know, certainly you've got a chance to see the group. Ivan's out there still performing. Next, you'll be touring in the UK, in Netherlands, Germany, Denmark, Sweden. What's the response over there? I know in the U.S., that's where I'm out of, where it's a huge act and well-known songs.
Yeah, no, it's great in Europe. I mean, since we've been touring again, we've been to more places this time out than we did in the 80s, but Europe is always really, really receptive. And since they don't see us as much as the North American audiences do, they really enjoy it. We really enjoy playing for them too. They're into 80s music just as much as North Americans. So it's great. We're doing that UK Europe tour, Scandinavia. Then we're coming back and we'll be on a short run with Wang Chung and in the States. And the whole this part of the tour all ends up on the beaches of Cancun, Mexico, for a 80s in the Sand event with a lot of other 80s acts. And those are always fun too. People have a great time at those. And then an 80s cruise again next year. So it's an ongoing thing. It's great.
It's like you're getting paid to do something you love and vacation around the world.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's who'd have thunk. It's just amazing. We're very, very lucky.
Well, and we're lucky as well for the songs that you've given us that, again, even thinking back, we can listen to your songs from the 1980s and be transported back to that time. We've got this new one, I Love the 80s, that helps us do so as well. Thank you so much, Ivan, for your time today.
Well, thanks a lot. My pleasure. Nice talking to you.
There's so many groups, and I leave them, and they're included, that I hope I get the opportunity to see. We do get some folks come through my area here. They travel throughout the country. Mm-hmm. As I alluded to, I don't know, maybe I didn't say this to Ivan. Maybe I said it off the air. They're touring next. No, I did say this. As I said, chatted with Ivan about it. They're touring next in Europe. So they're going to be in the UK, Netherlands, Germany, Denmark, Sweden. But you can go to safetydance.com because I think, Ivan mentioned they're going to be swinging back around in the US.
Wow.
And I think they're going to be touring with Wang Chung. I don't know if that's official yet, but
wow.
Some other folks. So yeah,
awesome.
If you can get another chance to see them, make sure you go to safetydance.com to find out when. I will be doing that.
No, wait. Will doesn't even go to concerts and he's going to do it. So how powerful is this?
This is a testimonial.
One of the things about concerts that I don't like, and you guys are better.
Going.
You guys are at concerts. But your love of Alan Parsons, your love of Weird Al, John, maybe it doesn't challenge you in this way, but there's very few acts that I want to hear B-sides of. There's very few acts that I feel like have enough songs.
You just want Freebird and out. That's it. Out the door. Just the hits. That's all you want.
Or I got to know the catalog well enough. Like Billy Joel, I've seen, I don't know, 5 times at concerts because I've listened to albums beginning to end, flip them over. Beastie Boys, that kind of thing.
Sure, because when you said Weird Al, I immediately knew the Brady Bunch parody of, the Safety Dance. I knew it, but it was not an A-side. It wasn't a big hit. It was also on an album, and I listened to every track on that album. So I can see it would be a challenge if you're like, I don't have a connection to these other songs if I didn't know the back catalog that well.
Right.
So you're like waiting for the hits sometimes if you don't go to an artist for whom you know that well. Yeah.
And these 80s groups, the folks that I've known that have seen them, they say it's just one song after another. And when the one group is done with their, however many hits they had, they go off and another group comes on and they do that. And if they had 2 hits, that's all you hear. They have 5, whatever.
Right.
And then boom, let's get to the next, person. It's like the only better thing would be is if they were shuffled in a way that they come up like on my, Spotify.
Yeah. When I saw
the
the tour of all the hip hop acts in Tallahassee some years ago when I drove over, it was that, right? I mean, it was Salt and Peppa. It was Coolio. It was, whoever else was there. And they just came out and played their hits. But sometimes they would collaborate a little bit together on someone's hit, but you weren't hearing B-side stuff. So this is that kind of tour that's going to pander right to your preference, Will.
Yeah, exactly.
This is why I only go to see Duran Duran, because I know their catalog better than anybody.
So
right?
well. Yeah.
Right, Kat, don't you agree? I mean, if it's a band, you're like, I know 2 songs and my family is not like that. My wife, my daughter, they'll love a group for 2 songs and they'll go and they'll just learn.
Huh.
Yeah. Wow.
Because they really love just going to concerts too. So
I admire that.
Now we're going to
That's
play a little
very cool.
something off our new album you haven't heard yet. I'm like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want.
Yeah.
Go back. What'd you play in the 70s? Play that again.
Right. And we talked about a group once that talked about playing a song that for people on a beer break or something. I remember they were like, all right, I know you guys are going to want to leave.
Right. Yeah.
FYI, come
Here's
back.
a chance
The
to go.
song's 2 minutes long or 2.5 minutes. Be back. All right. Hey, that's it. And so I will say in closing, we will talk to you next time on 1980s Now.
Until next time.
Dun, 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 dun.